What's going on, everyone? Finally, we are here once again on another long-awaited flea market video. Now, before I get into this, I want to point out two things. First off is that this was my first flea market trip since my dad's passing, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it, it was really difficult for me to go. Because as you all know from that last flea market video, this was our thing. We always went to the flea markets together. So being by myself for this adventure was pretty difficult and almost awkward in a way. That being said, I am here, I'm gonna make the best of it. The other thing I want to point out is that I decided to use my GoPro camera for this episode. It's hooked up to my backpack and I had no idea how well it would capture what I was looking at. But honestly, I think for the first time using it, it did a really good job. Well, despite it being a little crooked at times. I also recorded footage with my phone just in case the GoPro wasn't aimed in the direction of what I was looking at. Now, with all of that out of the way, let's begin our adventure. The first thing I end up spotting is this box of games. However, it's from a reseller who prices things very high or eBay prices, and he gets really shitty with you whenever you want to haggle. Yeah, he has games in there that I want, but it's not worth the battle. There's vendors like this who bring out a good amount of lawnmowers or other various lawn equipment, and they charge around, I don't know, $100 per mower. A lot of the time, these are mowers that people just end up tossing away because they think that they're broke, or they just don't want to mess around with getting them fixed. 90% of the time, you just either need to clean out the carb or rebuild it, and usually it's not really that hard to do.
How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Drew me down on those, man. I told him $3 a piece, that's pretty cheap. I got 20 on the Game Boy. He said, that's too much, I don't have the cord. Where do you get the cord anywhere? It's got the games.
Which Game Boy is this?
It's hard to find. That's the Advance. It works if you want to turn it on. There's a game in there. But he was worried because I didn't have the... I said, hell, you
That's
can
not
use
a
any
charger.
USB. It's USB, right?
No. That's not a charger, it runs off battery.
That's what I told him. He's trying to get me, that guy that sells over there. I said, no.
Yeah, they're all
It's cheap for that.
they're all scammers.
I didn't play his game. He got me. I don't care.
Yeah, they're not. $20 for a Game Boy Advance is fine.
Well, let me reword that. The Game Boy Advance by itself for $20 is really not a good deal, but since it came with a handful of games and a decent case, yeah, it would be fine for someone just getting into a Game Boy Advance. Now, the person that he was complaining about is one of the resellers who always runs around ass early in the morning trying to snag up all the deals for basically nothing. There's just a random Ocarina of Time on the table. It's not in too bad of condition either. Just for shits and giggles, I wonder what he wants for it.
How much is your game here?
Let's go $2 on it.
How much?
$2.
Okay, I can do
I don't know
that.
if it's one of the hard to find ones or what. I'll just call it that.
Oh, I wasn't expecting that, honestly. I already have 2 complete copies of the game, but hell, for $2 I'll snag this in a heartbeat. Normally I don't mess with eBay, but if I can sell this for, I don't know, 20, 25 bucks or whatever, it can help me get more money to purchase some saddlebags for my, third motorcycle. Don't ask. prices weren't too bad at all, but there just wasn't anything here I had to have. A lot of sports titles, wrestling games, and other common everyday stuff I already own. Oh man, if Dad were here, he would have gone crazy over that Pennzoil barrel. He loved these containers. I think primarily for the neat advertising, but really, I don't know.
How much do you want for the Retro Trio?
You know, I don't know why,
Uh-huh.
but for whatever reason, the Nintendo and the Super Nintendo side started getting like it only work on some games. I don't know why. The Genesis side always worked.
They're finicky.
I don't know what. I was gonna ask $5 for it. I mean, you'll spend more for that for the controller, but at $5, I figured that would be fair. You know, but I mean, it's like a $60-$70 thing.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, if it's just those like
Maybe you
slots,
can. I figured maybe somebody can fix it or something.
you can. Yeah, I mean, those pieces are really easy to just swap out, so it's not a big deal.
Okay.
How much are your Genesis games?
Well, it's easy on the actual systems. I mean, I've done it before, but I have no idea how easy it would be on a thing like this. But hey, it's worth looking into. The seller even included those Genesis games for free. The seller was very, very nice, and I hope I run into him again at some point. When I put the backpack down, I think I bumped my camera upwards, and it made it a little hard to see what I was rifling through here. The DVDs and games were all $2 a piece, and he said that if I found a bunch, he'd give me a better deal. I ended up grabbing a handful of things, including a CKY DVD, which I never thought I would ever find at a flea market. Yeah, I would love one of these see-through socket sets. It would come in handy when working on my car or bikes, but the seller is nowhere to be seen, and I have better things to do than to just wait around for him or her. Oh well, their loss. Oh, the flea market, a wonderful place where you can find food which has been expired for a year if not more, low quality replica swords, a seller with nothing but hubcaps, for some reason, Playboy magazines, illegal bootleg DVDs, and a $100 couch which may or may not have jizz stains on it. It's good to be back. I've shown this video game reseller before. Their prices aren't like outrageous, but they're higher than average. When it comes to resellers, I always pick out games I know are dirt cheap, like $2 or $3, and then see what the seller marks them at. As far as older cartridge-based games, I really don't know what a majority of them go for because I don't go out of my way to collect them. I explained why in the past, but of course, if I see them dirt cheap, I'm not going to hesitate to grab them. the inner hipster of me really wants this Akai reel-to-reel machine here. My dad bought one, I think 2 years ago, and it is just the coolest thing. I would have been all over that Dragon Quest if it wasn't 25 bucks. So because I didn't get a heck of a lot of stuff, I decided to combine another day's worth of flea market hunting into this one single video. Oddly, the weather was much nicer this day, but yet there wasn't near as many vendors as last week. But that doesn't necessarily mean there isn't anything out there. There's a couple small stacks of PS3 games, most of which I own or don't care about, but the seller does have Grid, which I have been trying to find for months. Problem is that the disc was in rough shape. Oh well, I'm gonna have to pass on that. I got a kick out of that old Daytona USA game there. I had that when I was much younger.
How much? 5? I'll take that. Thank you.
Only reason I walked away is because I could have sworn that this was like $3 at GameStop or Disc Replay. Although I very well could have confused it for something else. Hey, my fiance has that Pokemon Monopoly game. I wonder if that has become ridiculously expensive yet. This box had mostly DVDs, but I did find a few games scattered about. I was going to pick up that Samurai X DVD, however I decided against it. I think I'm one of the very few Rurouni Kenshin fans who loves Samurai X. And if I'm going to buy this, I'm going to get it complete on Blu-ray.
I don't know anything about those.
Yeah?
$2 a piece.
Okay.
Oh, I mean, they know.
Holy cow. I'll take the 2.
Do you know anything about guns, Frank? You know. Flintlock? Double barrel.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This took me all of like 1 second to tell that these butterfly knives were cheaply made, low-quality junk. When I had first started to flip butterfly knives, I had these exact same ones, and the handles broke off after just a couple months of flipping. Being a big fan of Indian motorcycles, I would have been all over this if it wasn't made out of that very cheap tin. Come to think of it, I think I've seen this exact one at Hobby Lobby. Wow, of all things, I never expected to come across a ColecoVision, but good God, was it in rough shape. The power supply was broken, and I could see parts of the wiring that were starting to corrode, which just scares the shit out of me. Only one controller, and when I picked up the console, I heard rattling inside. He was selling it for super cheap, but I wouldn't know what to do with it. Yeah, I could buy another power supply, but I have a strong feeling that the console itself doesn't even work, and I have no experience or interest in fixing one of these. There's usually always a couple vendors here selling plants, but I didn't expect to see tropical gardenia and hibiscus already. I normally wouldn't even think about planting those here in the Midwest until after May. Ooh, butterfly bush.
Me likey.
Seller has a lot of games here, including games that are very, very good. Problem is, I have all of these games. Well, at least the ones I care about, which is really anything that isn't sports. This is one of the downsides of being a collector. You get all excited seeing all these wonderful games until you realize you own all of them. Well, everyone, that brings our adventure to a close. Overall, not bad. I did walk away with some decent amount of goodies. Nothing like extravagant or anything, but still, I had a very good time. I was surprised that no one made a comment about my GoPro or anything, although there was one guy who had a few consoles who was following me around and eyeing me like a hawk. I don't know if he thought I was going to steal or what the deal was. Outside of that, I am definitely going to continue using the GoPro for this series. Thank you all very much for watching, everyone, and I will see you next time.